coming right there.
Well, hey guys, before Rawson and Emery get into this Friday's video, I want to give a shout out to one of our big supporters, Cool Fire Trainer. You've seen me use them in our dry fire videos. They're awesome. It's a drop-in barrel. You just fill it with CO2. You can get CO2 everywhere, and what it does is it cycles your gun for you, so you can you run lasers, everything else. They're great for training. Anyways, we would not be able to bring you guys these high quality videos for free. Remember, you're not paying to be here if we didn't have these supporters. So big support, shout out to Cool Fire Trainer. Thanks. Back to Emery and Rawson.
All right, guys, welcome back to Tactical Rifleman. Emery, Rawson. Here's the deal. This week, we're going to show you a really fun drill that's very practical. Now, guys, don't just go try this. Like a lot of our other stuff, kind of like our disruptive environments drill and those kinds of things, don't just pick this up and start doing this, okay? It can be really dangerous if you're jackassing around and you're not doing this really professionally. If you want to do this kind of stuff and you're not there yet with your skill, then come train with us, okay? We'll show you how to do this stuff. We can do it safely. So Rawson and I both have worked a lot of executive protection. We want to bring you a practical drill for defending somebody, whether it's you're walking around with a family member or whether you're actually working this kind of job and that kind of thing. So we want to show you a drill that's going to apply to that kind of deal. In this drill, we're going to have essentially a shooter and either an instructor who's playing the protectee, the principal, and in some of these we kind of dramatized it a little bit with Carl so that we can make it a little more of a realistic kind of feeling for this video, really. That's about the deal. Rawson, can we give us a little bit of your background?
So my background, I spent several years in the Army, not US Army, Bulgarian Army. After that, 7 years in US Diplomatic Security Service, mainly in Europe. And before we dive into the funny part of it, we want to emphasize, guys, very important, safety first. All right, so make sure you have a pretty good muzzle awareness. Also, trigger finger discipline, very important and very dangerous in that particular drill. Like with other dynamic drills, must be very focused on that. That's the key priority.
Right, so what Rawson just said is really the key to this whole thing. Right? Your finger has to be off the trigger all the time unless you're actually shooting. Your muzzle you have to know exactly where that muzzle is pointed at any given moment, regardless of where your direction of motion is or where you're looking and all of those things, okay? There are a couple of pointers here as well on the technical end. First of all, keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel because we're now breaking away from just regular square range drills, right? We're not just putting holes in paper. We're actually taking this into the realm of reality. Step by step, right? We're not doing full on exercises with tons of people and all that. The way this drill is set up, we have a range we can move around in. We have to make sure there's not other people there to get covered by muzzles. We are keeping the muzzle pointed down range, okay? So we're not turning around and running backwards with the gun pointed backwards away from the target, right? In real life, you're gonna muzzle people, right? In real life, there's a good possibility that that's gonna happen, which is why the trigger finger portion of it is that much more important. It doesn't mean it's okay to muzzle people. You still have to be aware of it, but if it happens in a real scenario, so be it. You just have to make sure that you are responsible for every round that comes out of your gun. Do not shoot. Do not shoot if you don't know that you are pointed in a safe direction. Right?
And of course, in the real world, there is no backstop.
Right.
It's a 360-degree environment, so
yep.
we cannot consider one safe direction.
Right. So this is an advanced drill, right? When we run this, even with people who have been shooting for a long time and all of that, they still spray rounds all over the backstop. It takes a high level of proficiency to actually get even close to your target, right? You're gonna miss. Make sure that you aim small and miss small, okay? So let's set this thing up. The bottom line is you have your security guy and you have your protectee. And what's gonna happen is they're gonna walk around. Now the protectee, in just the simple form of this range drill, is gonna be your instructor. That's your range officer, your instructor, whatever you wanna call them. What's gonna happen is you're gonna walk kind of shoulder to shoulder, or in certain aspects, you're gonna walk a couple of steps behind your protectee, and we're gonna have a conversation. For range drills, I make sure as the instructor to actually engage the shooter in a conversation to distract them from thinking about their next steps and where the target is and that kind of thing. What's gonna happen is at some point, I'll either press the shot timer so we get a beep to start, or like you'll see here, we actually initiated some of these runs with live fire from a third person shooting in a safe direction, not at us and all that. So at that moment, what you're gonna have to do is the first thing you do is you get in that line of fire between the person you're trying to protect and the direction of the gunfire or the adversary. Then you have to make sure that you extract them safely while returning fire. This is where suppressive fire is a thing, right? Now on the range, we're not gonna do suppressive fire. Every single shot you take should be going towards that target, okay? Now it's okay to miss sometimes, but we're not just spraying randomly. Every shot has to be aimed. Let me say it again. Every shot has to be aimed, okay?
And I want to touch a little bit the focus about the marksmanship. Of course, it's a dynamic drill. There's a lot of external distractions here. There's an element of surprise, right? And this is how important it is to engrave your core skills of marksmanship to the level, to the degree that you're not going to think how you're going to hold the gun, how to isolate the action of the finger. Everything must be absolutely subconscious, so you create a more space in the box between these two ears to assess the situation and to take the proper decision really fast.
Right.
Of course, that marksmanship will degrade a little bit, but hey, you have a mission-driven exercise drill here. You stay focused on it, and if you accomplish the mission, that's everything that is required to be successful.
Right. Understand that the purpose of this mission, right, the purpose of this drill is to save your other person, whoever it is that you're protecting, right, from the assailant. So what's going to happen is now we are in a 360-degree environment. We're no longer looking at a target and just pointing in that direction, right? There's movement, and to make this real, you can't just look at your target and start walking backwards, right? So keep your head on a swivel. You have to be looking all around you for other bad guys. You have to be looking for obstacles. You have to be looking for where you're going to, where your next place of cover is, things like that. Keep your head on a swivel. When you shoot, look down your sights, take well-aimed shots, and the rest of the time, you have to be in charge of your environment. That's one. Two, if you're really working this for practical purposes, understand that you have to train with the person that you are protecting, right? So if you're working a job, a lot of principals, they'll hire people, they'll never want to train with you. They just won't agree. But it's your job to try to convince them to make that happen. Your job, your boss, something like that. If it's your wife or your daughter or your husband or whatever it is that you're trying to protect, then you have a bit more of a chance to be able to convince them to do some practice with you. And that's really important so that they know how to work with you. It's not just that you're the guy with a gun so you can protect me, right? This is teamwork to a pretty large degree. So that's essentially the deal. Now, we can ratchet this drill up in intensity and in complexity. So when we start doing this drill, the instructor is not going to make it hard on the shooter, right? That means that, typically you'll have the principal grab your belt or some sort of physical contact so you know they're not just running away from you. You have to teach them to do things to help you actually be able to solve this situation. As we progress with this drill, what we can do is add an element of, essentially we call it herding cats. You can't expect every principal to be tactically aware and to know how to react when that happens. So what's going to happen is, the instructor can look over and be distracted and walk in a different direction or do all these wrong things, bearing in mind not to cause any sort of safety infraction, right? So it's tricky. And this is why we say, look, we want to show you guys this, but we want to make sure that you're responsible about doing this. Don't just go off and do this. I can't stress this enough, right? This is advanced stuff.
Just a few words, that's still a drill, so we have more or less a preset scenario, right? In the real world, we need to take under consideration that there can be a secondary attack coming from another completely different direction.
Right.
So
right.
that awareness, situational awareness, we need to be 100% on.
Yep, exactly. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
So here Carl's the shooter, I'm the principal. We're going to start it off easy. Shooting goes off, he makes contact with me, engages the targets immediately.
Back to the wall.
I'm making it kind of easy for a start by kind of pulling on his belt, pulling him in the right direction. It's kind of a good, safe way to start this until the shooter himself starts becoming a lot more aware of his surroundings, where he's going, tripping hazards, that kind of stuff. Again, now Carl's going to be talking to me. We're having a conversation, distracting me or the shooter from thinking about the targets and what's going on. Beeper goes off, contact, starting motion back. We're shooting a silhouette target, but it's about 3/4 size silhouette, so it's smaller than the normal ones. This brick wall's at about 50 meters from the targets, so they're getting to be pretty hard shots back there. Ross's telling him what to do. Carl's starting to give him a bit of a hard time here. Not too bad. Again, Rawson's going to be the defender here. Now Carl's kind of ratcheting up the intensity of his role-playing and really trying to make Rawson have to think and interact with him to solve this situation. Good muzzle control from Rawson. And notice, everybody, when we get to the wall, we're not poking our gun ahead of the wall. We're using the wall sometimes to brace for those long 50-meter shots. But you don't want the gun poking out the other end of the wall so that other people on the other side of the wall can see.
Get behind me! Get to the car!
Notice the finger off the trigger until you're shooting. Carl's stepping up his acting game here. We got some jackets just to make it look and feel a little bit more realistic. Weapons are drawn from concealment.
Stay with me, behind the wall! Go behind the brick wall! Go!
And you can shoot at paper targets here too if you want to really count the hits, but using steel targets for a drill like this is really nice because it gives you that automatic response when you hit. Of course, in reality, you're not necessarily getting that kind of auditory clue, but it can be a good tool as well.
Get behind me! Get behind me! Grab it! Move, move, move!
See, Rawson's helping me out here a little bit by grabbing the belt and giving direction.
Behind the wall!
Head still has to stay on the swivel. Magazine change is a little slow here. Shooting from behind the wall. And the more we do this, notice we start getting more shots on target from this distance.
Back to the car!
The first shot being a really good hit here is pretty crucial. So Rawson here is doing a really good job.
Go, 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 go!
And he's actually getting quite a few hits on target too. Hopefully this is helpful to everybody. Hopefully it's enjoyable and it's a fun drill. Just remember, do it safely if you're going to do it on your own range. And if you don't feel comfortable with it, that's fine. That's why you can come take classes and we can hit all these fun things to do once we get our basics nailed down.
To the wall!
Hope this video is helpful. If you like it, come check us out next week on Tactical Rifleman.
If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on anything.